Welcome to the Way to Go podcast. Bill McMinn, Ramigaville, along with my dear wife, Jeri. And we are here talking about John 18 today. And we've been moseying through John because I know if you listen to the podcast faithfully, you probably wonder, what is he doing? I think it's a good question. I think it's a fair question. What am I doing? We have been working on John, and then I've also put in a testimony in 2022. We talked about emotions with Sherry Capello last week. We talked about different topics, and then we'll go back into John. So I'm going to definitely finish the book of John. Eventually, actually, we have a goal. We'd like to have one podcast that does teaching, like whether we talk through the book of Genesis or teach theology or whatever it is. And then we have a topic-driven way to go. So we might talk about parenting. We talk about, whatever's going on. But it's been fun. I mean, going through the book of John. And I love the Bible. Love going through it.
Excellent.
Excellent. Is that all you have to say?
Outstanding.
Outstanding.
Fabulous. Spectacular. I got all kinds of words.
I meant about John 18, but that's okay. In John 18, here we have it. And this is really awesome. When he finished praying, now, when it says he had finished praying, John 17 was the high priestly prayer. Now, he's about to get arrested, but it's not the praying that we read about in Matthew, Mark, and Luke, where he asks his men to pray with him. They fall asleep with sorrow, and he prays 3 times. He prays an hour, an hour, an hour. Blood vessels are breaking on his forehead, according to Luke. It's not that part of the praying. This was when he was with his men. He had had the Last Supper. He had washed their feet. He had told them things like, don't let your hearts be troubled. Do not fear. Things like that. I mean, you famous, I'm going ahead of you, preparing a place for you, John 14. I mean, there's all kinds of great, I'm the vine, you're the branches. All these things are part of a conversation he had. Then he closed that in prayer in John 17. Okay. Then they're going to go, it says, after he had finished praying his high priestly prayer in John 17, Jesus left with his disciples and crossed the Kidron Valley. So they're to the east and northeast of the city of Jerusalem. So they walk out from where they had Passover. They go down. So that's how we know it's not the 3 hours of praying, because he's not even to that place yet. So you have to go down in a valley. Like the city sets up on one hill, then you go down through this valley, the Kidron Valley, then you come up to the Mount of Olives. So it's kind of, that's why I used to go through the valley. You go down and then you go up. The Mount of Olives has like a 2,700 foot. It's not the biggest mountain in the world.
I'm shocked you didn't ask me to explain that, but it's okay.
It's not like the biggest mountain in the world, obviously, but he went up to the Mount of Olives. On the other side was an olive grove. So I would have loved to have seen it in the days of Jesus Christ. I don't really know if all these olive groves are still there, but I guess the whole side of that hill at one time, had these olives and these trees. And so he and his disciples go into it. Now, we know, according to the other passages, he's going to be praying in the Garden of Gethsemane. He's right there. These places are Garden of Gethsemane, Mount of Olives. I mean, they're right there in that same vicinity. And he had been praying. And it says, now Judas, who had betrayed him, knew the place because Jesus had often met there with his disciples. So he knows where he's going because Jesus Christ had often met his disciples there.
Yeah, which I think is a great example. Jesus was regularly going to pray with his disciples. He wasn't just waiting until like this emergency status situation.
No.
You know what I mean? To come in. I mean, it's a regular thing, so regular that, Judas knew that's where he would be.
Yeah, he's definitely not like you.
Yeah.
He prays all the time. So no, stop it. Jeri prays. I've heard her pray this week, actually, several times. So it's been nice. Praying for, by the way, what are we praying for? The Ukraine. And what's going on there, and Russia invading the Ukraine. Actually, we have a friend on Instagram who is now in the Cleveland area, and very upset, obviously, today. So I told her we'd be praying for her and praying for others. We have a missionary in the Ukraine. So, I mean, we do pray. We do pray on a regular basis. And so it was a common place for him. So I would assume it's kind of really awesome when you think about it, that Jesus Christ went outside. Where is he praying? Outdoors, out in nature.
His creation.
It's quiet. He just goes out there where it's beautiful and it's peaceful and it's a Mount of Olives. And you think you think about all the history that surrounds him. This is the city of King David. This is where they built the Temple of Solomon. At one time, that temple destroyed. Later on, it's rebuilt. You think about how many things went on, how many great people had been in the city of Jerusalem, whether leaders like Nehemiah or prophets like Elijah not Elijah, he wouldn't have really been in Jerusalem, but other prophets. And then you have great kings that would have been there like Hezekiah and whatnot. And here he is near where you can see the city. and he's just praying. He's praying about his mission for this world.
The other thing I love about the fact that Jesus is out there praying is like Jesus is perfect. Jesus is God. Yet he is coming to the Father and he is still praying and asking for help in his ministry, asking for help to get through what he knows is in front of him. Yet we who are so weak, as people, think we can do it on our own sometimes and not come to God in prayer. Yet Jesus was going to God in prayer. I mean, what an example.
So what you're saying is we should be praying.
Way more than we do, I'm sure.
No, I agree with it 100%. I think God works. I think the universe is set up to work through prayer. God uses it. It's vital. It's indispensable. It's not like one of those things when you think about praying, it's not just like an add-in. Like, do I wear a scarf or not?
Yeah.
I'm going to get by if I'm out in the winter. I personally, by the way, don't wear scarves in case you're wondering, but so I do get by without a scarf. My wife would like to wear a scarf if we're out there where it's cold, but it's an accessory. Okay. Sorry, Jeri. A scarf.
It's a necessity when that wind is whipping.
It's not a necessity. It's really not. And it's an accessory. But I'm just kidding, by the way, tongue in cheek. I don't care if you wear a scarf or not. But I'm saying some people do, some people do not. So that's how some people view prayer. It's an accessory. I would say it's more of a necessity. If I go out in winter, what would I think is necessary? Shoes. I'd say coat, hat. It's usually things that I wear. I think pretty necessary when I'm going out in the winter. If I go kayaking, what do I think is necessary?
Life jacket.
No. Yes, having your life jacket legally, you should have it. But as far as what I absolutely have to have, a paddle.
And a kayak.
Well, if I'm assuming, I'm in the kayak, I need a paddle for it. It's no necessity. I mean, something that's prayer. It's not excess. It's not an accessory. It's a necessity.
Yes.
And Jesus Christ realizes that, and that's why he's praying. And then comes his buddy Judas, the guy, and I say his buddy Judas. Come on, I mean, they traveled together for 3 years.
With friends like that, who needs enemies, right?
Yeah, really. Judas, well, some people do sour, and Judas Iscariot is an example of somebody that you can be close to that sours on you. I think we do have to be aware of that. But Judas, who betrayed him, knew the place, right? So he goes in. So Judas came to the grove, guiding a detachment of soldiers and some officials from the chief priests and Pharisees. They were carrying torches, lanterns, and weapons. Now, chief priests being distinguished from the high priest, which there's two guys mentioned, Annas and Caiaphas. We'll talk about that in a little bit. But chief priest was another higher echelon of priests. So you've got some of the highest priests in the nation are part of this that are coming in there. Priests.
Yeah, because they didn't like what Jesus was saying.
Priests.
Yeah.
Priests and religion. They had that much power in the country. You would never go in, a whole group of pastors went into so-and-so's house in Jefferson and drug them out and arrested them. It wouldn't happen. I mean, just like we don't have that kind of pastors don't have that kind of authority.
No,
there's not even a national pastoral position that would have this kind of authority or this kind of clout.
No.
Man, these guys in this nation had a lot of power.
Yeah.
Right?
They definitely did.
They definitely did. I mean, people looked at it and it was supposedly, a monotheistic. Well, it's definitely monotheistic, but as far as they viewed God as being their sovereign and their guide and their king, right? So they were coming and they were, I should say, they were the ones everyone would look to at all times.
Okay.
Right? So they looked to the priests way more than in our world or our society could ever imagine.
Right.
These people had
it's foreign to us. Yeah.
They had influence. People listen, right? They were a big deal.
Yeah.
So anyway, they're there, and Jesus, knowing all that was going to happen to him, went out and asked them, who is it you want? Now, he's setting up. This is like setting yourself up in volleyball so you can slam it back at them. I mean, it's just like, this is the perfect setup. He's about to park it straight on them, slam dunk it on them. And they said, we're looking for Jesus of Nazareth, right? He's such an enemy. What is he? Have you seen him? Yeah. They don't say, we're looking for you. It's like they don't even know. Even though Judas is there betraying him, they still ask, Jesus of Nazareth, I am he. And Judas the traitor was standing there with them. And we know he gave him a kiss, and Christ a kiss in other passages. And when Jesus said, I am he, they drew back and fell to the ground. Now, we're going to come right back to that. But again, he asked them, who is it you want? And they said, Jesus of Nazareth. I told you that I am he. Jesus answered, if you are looking for me, then let these men go. So, thoughts?
Well, he's protecting the people with him because he doesn't want them, to go.
Right.
And obviously, he's not trying to run from them or get people in front to defend him. He's ready to face whatever is coming before him.
He asked, who are you looking for? So they can say Jesus of Nazareth, so he can say, I am he.
Yeah. The I am that I am.
I am. Well, now, I don't hear a lot of people talk about this actually, but I looked it up, and in John 8:58, when they wanted to stone him one time, he said, before Abraham was, I am. Mm-hmm. Clearly, that was the term that God gave Moses at the burning bush. Right. I am that I am has sent you. What is your name? I am. I am, the verb for existence, becomes the main name for God in the Bible. Mm-hmm. It's when you see in the Old Testament, Lord, L-O-R-D, all caps, it translates the Hebrew verb for existence, Lord.
Yeah.
That's how you always know Lord from a different word like Adonai, Master, Lord.
Right.
This is Lord, like God, Lord, like this is main name, Yahweh.
Right.
This is it. He says, I am. So it's interesting that when they translate that in John 8:58, they say, I am. When you see it here in John chapter 18, he says, they don't translate it, I am.
They say, I am he.
I am he. But I looked at the original Greek, from which the original language is Greek that the New Testament is written in. And I went back and I looked at it in John 8:58, and it is ego, eimi, I am. Mm-hmm. Same exact words used here, all through. Even when you come down to the end, when he says it in verse 8, I told you that I am he. Who are you looking for? Jesus of Nazareth, the first time. I am he. Then he said it, when he said I am he, they fell back. Then who do you want again? Jesus of Nazareth, I told you, I am he. I am.
I am.
I am. There's no pronoun. I mean, and the translators are putting in a pronoun here. It's just I am.
So he's just saying, I am basically God.
He's saying the exact same thing he said in John 8:50. I'm just saying, if you're going to be consistency, if we look at it as Christians as a reference, using the I am thing, he says that there's such force when he says it, they fall back.
Yep.
I don't think we should pass that.
No, that's interesting.
Who are you messing with? Who are you messing with? Who are you arresting? Who are you putting your hands on? This is somebody who said, I am. We're looking for Jesus of Nazareth. I am.
So
who is Jesus of Nazareth? I am.
I am.
I am the God. I am, right? Yep. So I think that's pretty amazing. Yeah, amazing. But I also think that Jesus Christ, he already knew they're coming, right? So he asked them the question. So it said that he knew ahead of time, he knowing all things are going to happen. He was not, guys, we've got to run. Yeah. You know what I mean? Run for the hills. We got to get out of here. We're about to suffer. Yeah. Let's run and hide. Let's head to Asia. You know what I'm saying? They'll never find us there. He wasn't like that. He was going to embrace it, because the thing I see about Jesus Christ is he is going to accept his cup.
Mm-hmm. He understood.
Right. But he had been praying. He had been praying. Now, look, he had been praying for 3 hours by other accounts.
Yeah.
Lord, if you're willing, let this cup pass from me. But not my will, but thine be done. Now, he's already prayed to get the strength. Mm-hmm. Now he's ready.
Right.
He's ready for this. Why? Because he's been praying for hours for this, to get himself prepared, to get himself ready for this meeting. He's been praying. Sometimes if we're getting ourselves ready for something heavy duty that's coming down our way, maybe there's a counseling or there's a confrontation or whatever it is. Maybe we have to go stand. Maybe we lost somebody. We got to go to calling hours. I want to pray a minute about that.
Yeah.
I think about how much he prayed to get himself ready for it, right? Mm-hmm. And you might ask, what good did the praying do?
It gave him the strength. I mean, because we pray to God for a lot of things. We don't know what God's answer will be.
Right.
And he was praying, if it's possible, God, deliver me from this, let this cup pass from me. But it wasn't possible, obviously, because it's the only way that we could have salvation was Jesus Christ dying. So he knew he got his answer. So he had the strength to face it.
There was an angel God sent actually to minister to him, to give him strength. And I think that when people fail you, and certainly Peter will deny him later, I think his guys did let him down, even from the perspective of not praying, pray that you not fall into temptation. Well, Peter falls into the temptation of denying Christ because he hadn't been praying. He had not been preparing himself for this critical moment by praying.
Sleeping.
Jesus Christ was preparing himself for this critical moment so he can accept his cup because he's willing to go with them. And he just says, just let these guys go.
Yep. Yeah, he's protecting his guys.
When he says, I am, and they all fall backwards, he probably could have come up with something else too.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Then maybe they would have been looking for them for the rest of their lives because they just wouldn't have existed anymore. But that's not how he was. He was somebody who cares about his men. He's going to pray for his people. And I like that, that he's concerned not just for himself, he's concerned about his guys.
Yeah, even when, is it Peter that drew up the sword, cut the guy's ear off, Jesus like, don't, put your sword away.
Right.
And, heals the guy right there.
Right.
And they still take him and think he's like this crazy person. It's like you watch him, it's crazy. But you know what? Satan's a deceiver, and God used it for all of us.
I just think of the power of praying. I think of the power of Jesus Christ and what he's doing, and it just can't be overstated. That he was preparing himself for this moment. That praying does not mean I'm not going to have a hard time. And sometimes we look at God and our expectations of God are that he delivers us from all problems.
Yeah.
No flat tires, no loss, no betrayal. You think about Jesus Christ, he's out praying, he's doing the right thing, he's betrayed by one of his own men, and how sick was that?
Yeah.
That he's betrayed. God, I don't see God preventing all things from happening. I see the promises of God that he's going to give you the strength through all things that happen.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, definitely. Because, people, no matter what, people still get sick. Like I said, people still have loss in their families. We go through hard times, difficulties in relationships for one reason or another. But God's promise is just he'll be there with us. He'll never leave us. He'll never forsake us.
Right.
And he'll help us. The Bible talks all kinds of places about him giving us strength and relying on, the Holy Spirit to give us wisdom and guidance. And
well, you were good on Friday night and you went to the worship night. So, you did the right thing. And then you fell in the ice.
I fell in the parking lot, whacked my head.
You know what? It shouldn't have happened because... you were at worship night.
Right.
And then you fell coming out of worship night. But, we prayed about that, and your neck's feeling a lot better.
Yeah, it is.
So you were a bit concerned. You were very discouraged on Saturday.
I was. Had a little whiplash neck, and I'm like, I don't want to go back to a whiplash neck. But, yeah, it's feeling a lot better.
Right.
But it's one of those things. It's like, some things are just the world we live in. You know what I mean? It's not like a curse from God or anything. It's just like ice is slippery.
Well, that's not the way I was going with that, actually.
Yeah,
I think the direction I'm going with it is this, that we prayed about it, and your neck feels better.
Yes.
And I'm saying that we both prayed about it. Like, we both got together and we prayed for it.
Yes.
We were praying for the Ukraine today. We were praying for our family today. We were praying for some who have suffered loss in our church today.
Right.
Right. We're praying for these people. And to me, those prayers are going to help out. It doesn't not stop every bad thing from ever happening, but it's certainly going to give us the strength to get through it.
Yeah.
So
and the Bible says where 2 or 3 are gathered together, God is in the midst and is listening. He's hearing what we say.
Yeah, so that's one of the things we were talking about Elijah a few weeks ago, and stones, we pick up, and one of the stones I wanted to pick as far as building an altar to the Lord is just having that time in our house. So we've just gotten up earlier so that before I get going in the day, we have a chance to read the Bible together and a chance to pray together. And I think that's going to be, not that I'm patting myself on the back, because I'm certainly not. I'm just saying, no, I need prayer, and so do you. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. What I'm saying is prayer works. That's what I'm saying, and get after it. So that's my word to you today. Prayer works. Get after it. Stop goofing around. If you're somebody who's been slacking your prayer, stop it. Okay, stop it right now. You need to be praying. Just like Jesus Christ here is in a moment of prayer when all this chaos breaks loose in his life, but those prayers are going to help him to be able to do what God wants him to do. We appreciate you tuning in. Another thing we'd appreciate, share the show, subscribe to Eagleville Bible Church, to the page. I mean, that's kind of nice for us when you do that. We appreciate it. We appreciate your support. So feel free, like I said, to like it, share it, comment. We love you guys. We appreciate you tuning in. You all have a great and an awesome week.